Princess of the Amazons. I won't be denied.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, and I do love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. So, I am doing these videos have been posted before individually, but I'm collecting them as one long video. So I'm a one-man operation. It is just me, and I do this in my spare time. So I edited what I could. It's not a perfect edit, so I do apologize ahead of time. It's not a perfect edit, but I went through the videos from the past and tried to clean up what I could, particularly in the intros and at the end, but a lot of the stuff in the middle I just couldn't go through. We're going to be looking at 8 videos, the very first 8 of John Byrne's Wonder Woman run from the mid-90s, which is really cool in my idea. So we're going to be covering Wonder Woman 101 through 108. As mentioned, I edited what I could. Please don't hold it against me. Like I said, I'm a one-man show. I don't have a group of teams that can edit these videos. I don't have employees. It's just me in my little office with a single program. So I hope you enjoy it. It's gonna be a little long, but yeah, I hope you like it. I love this run. A big fan of it. So Wonder Woman 101 through 108, written and drawn by John Byrne. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Today we are going to go over Wonder Woman Volume 2, 101. This is from 1995. It is written and drawn by the one and only John Byrne. Those of you who have been following comics for a long time know that John Byrne is one of the greatest writer-artists ever. And he is responsible for some of the greatest stories ever told. The guy is an incredible drawer. He is very good, very solid, and he, like I said, has written some of the best stories ever. And this is his first issue of what ends up being about a 3-year run on Wonder Woman. So he starts off with this amazing cover here, in which it just it's just a spectacular image, just a pose of an action pose. So he had his first run at DC was with Superman, and now he's returned to DC to do Wonder Woman. So it's not a bad first issue. So starts off in a city called Gateway. DC Comics is notorious for creating cities instead of using real cities the way Marvel kind of does. John Byrne writes and draws this. He also, I believe he letters it himself, but he uses a font. So he doesn't actually letter he doesn't letter each one manually. He uses a program and types it in, but he creates the letter and then he uses that same. So I'm always impressed how he doesn't skimp on drawing buildings. The dude definitely draws. He's an ink slinger too, so I love his work. So Wonder Woman is kind of just patrolling when she sees a commotion, and she sees the police trying to stop this kind of like a gang here wearing these futuristic stuff. So Wonder Woman shows up, and they said quit gawking, and start shooting. She deflects all the stuff. Wonder Woman is very strong. She is on par with Superman. She is one of the most powerful characters in the DC comics. So she is not to be trifled with. And so she dismisses the people rather quickly. And she's asking who the heck these people are, and the police let her know that they don't know. They've been showing up, and they have all this great technology. The guy says he doesn't want to talk. He wants to talk to a lawyer. She just flies with him, lets him know all in due time. I love John Burns. So he kind of went through. He's gone through several style changes. I mean, John Byrne, you can always tell on the faces, but he experiments, and he. This is like he had an early style, then the famous style that he did during his run on Uncanny X-Men and Fantastic Four. Then throughout Superman, he had sort of another style. Then he went with one in which he was doing a lot of uh, ink tones and some washes, and now he's kind of gone to this style here during this time. I love the way he does the hair for Wonder Woman. Just kind of ink and then a little space and then ink, ink, ink. Very cool. So he demands that the guy tell him what to say, and he doesn't want to talk. He says he's got rights, and then she puts the lasso on him, and the lasso compels him to tell the truth. So now we're 22 hours later, and this guy here he's looking for someone, and everyone says, "Oh, really?" So they warn him he shouldn't be so nosy. Then they end up in a scuffle, and they're gonna kill him. And I think not. And you can tell by the boot, you know who this is. And so and there's Wonder Woman. Um, and they all run from her. He's a police officer here, kind of looking on the same angle that she's looking for. And this guy comes out with the guns, and he ends up shooting him. This is the 90s, so the comic books haven't don't are now started, to get a little bit more relaxed on some of the things. So in the old days, in the Marvel in the 60s, in DC 60s and 70s, probably not so much, but the 80s they started loosening some of that stuff. So the guy shoots him, and she presses a button, out comes a door, and so they're gonna go and investigate. And the guy can't budge the door open, and she just pulls it through. She's very cool. She is one of my top 10 favorite characters. Wonder Woman is just a stud. She is a very cool character. I have quite a few of our collections. I have John Byrne's entire run, Walter Simonson's entire run. Walter Simonson, one of my favorite drawers and artists of all time, is just the writer on the run. He follows this run, and Jerry Ordway was his artist. But I have that as well. I have Greg Rucka's run, Mike Deodato's run. So there's a lot of issues of Wonder Woman that I have. And the new 52 run is also pretty cool. So I would, with Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. So they go in. She takes her hair out from that braid that she had it in, and they're now going down some stairs. It's very cool how he draws them. And they're kind of just trying to decipher how to get there. Lets him know that the gun's not really going to help him, and they're under attack again. She's dispatching, but that creature is much too strong. He's overwhelmed, and he knocks her out, and just for good measure gives her a good punch. Gotta take when you can take Wonder Woman out, So they tell him to be quiet, and he's like, "What are you gonna do to me?" And then he hits him. So um, they throw him here, and the big reveal is right here. And it's pretty exciting. John Byrne just loves Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and of course, you knew that with John Byrne, he was gonna get Darkseid in here. So very cool way to end the issue. So Wonder Woman 101 from 1995, written and drawn by John Byrne. Great stuff. We're going to be looking at Wonder Woman Volume 2, number 102 from 1995, written and drawn by John Byrne. We start with this cover showing Wonder Woman in some kind of pain here. So, John Byrne wrote and drew this series, coming back to DC after leaving Marvel for the second time, after he left DC the first time. So, alright. So, what we have, we start out where Wonder Woman is being tormented here. Here are the credits. So you can clearly see she's in pain. And Darkseid and Desaad. Desaad is a sadist, so he is inflicting as much pain as she can. She's in level 13, and Darkseid congratulates her because no human has ever made it even past level 3. So, the the guy from last year, or from last year, from last issue, Mike Shore, I believe, is yelling at them to let her go, and that she doesn't know anything, and he knows just as much as she does. This parademon, of course, doesn't like that he addresses Darkseid, but Darkseid decides to spare him because he's amused. So they're now putting it in level 16, and Darkseid tells her that he just has to tell her what he wants to know, and he'll let her go, or at least stop the pain. John Byrne, during this time, he is just slinging ink. If you can take a look here, kind of the way she does her hair, he's just throwing ink. Even here, I mean, there is, I like it. I mean, it's his style evolved to a little bit more with the brush. He's always, I think, used a brush, but I mean, he's getting sloppier. And and I don't say sloppier in a bad sense. I actually do enjoy this style here. I love when artists use the brush. So the Sod wants to go to 20, and you can see he's getting gratification. Like I said, he's a sadist here. So he wants to put it on 20, and Darkseid is not pleased with that because Desaad is disobeying. So, and Darkseid says, "Well, we're just gonna switch places and put the human in there, and she will give in because she doesn't want to cause pain to others." So he kind of lets her go, but then Wonder Woman grabs one of the parademons and slams them, as you can see. Slams them against the other, and she begins to fight them. She says she's a warrior and she knows how to handle pain. Again, look at Byrne. He's he's a master composer, but you can see here, I think he is just laying. I don't think these were penciled. I think he's just working from straight ink, and just because this panel does look a little bit messier. Like you can see that it's not a normal composition. Nothing's working very proportionate. So I think he's just working right off a brush, like maybe with just doing some brief layouts and then going straight to the brush, which causes a more organic and a more cool. I mean, once you make a mistake, I mean, they have a whiteout that they can use, but looks like the dude is just inking away. So I love this here. So she tells him she's not gonna find anything in Gateway City, and Darkseid is puzzled. Gateway City. Look at her. I love how they use, like, she's been through a scrap by just adding more lines to her. She's beaten all of them. The Sod is scared, and Darkseid says she doesn't know anything basically, and leaves away laughing. She says you're not gonna be able to get away, but of course he does. Wonder Woman, of course, is super strong. She is equal to Superman in strength. So she tears the floor down and notices that there's another floor there. The dude here asks to help, and she tears the chains off. So they're gonna have to try to find a way to get out and escape. And she realizes that Darkseid was right. They weren't on the Gateway City. They're in Apocalypse. And she explains that it's Darkseid's home, and then she collapses. And these parademons show up. And her mind drifts, and suddenly she is fighting with Superman, or fighting against Superman here. So she knows something's wrong, because that shouldn't be happening. Love, the chance, John Byrne having a chance to kind of redraw Superman since he had left him. And they're going to fight Darkseid, but it turns out that he's not really there, and everyone disappear, including Superman. And there's a big explosion, and she wakes up. So it was all most likely a dream or some kind of a vision here. And so right here, then, of course, sitting in the Mobius chair is Metron here. And she wants to know kind of what's going on. And so Metron is going to explain things to her. So Metron basically starts with the origin of the new gods. So there was the old gods died, and the new gods were born. There were two worlds. One, of course, is New Genesis. The other one is Apocalypse. New Genesis is the like heaven, and Apocalypse is basically hell. And Apocalypse is the one that Darkseid rules. But some of that power that created kind of ran away, or not ran away, but just continued on. It wasn't all absorbed, and some of it landed on Earth, and it formed the gods that were on Earth. In here, we're dealing with the Greek gods, but in essence, all the gods, the Asgardians, the Greeks, everything. So all the gods came from that source. She doesn't believe him. Real quick again, I just want to point how Byrne, I mean, he's just putting a blotch in the star. Dude is such an ink slinger. You can see here he's using some dry brush there. And so he is, like I said, he's continuing that the gods used to be regular, they came from regular humans, and they just had that power that was from when the new gods were formed. So that, which is a pretty cool take on this whole mythos here. So Metron basically tells her that Darkseid was trying to take that power and try to capture her and unleashing that power, but Darkseid wasn't just going to go with one plan. And so here's the really cool thing. He decided that he would also try and attack Themyscira, which is of course Paradise Island, Wonder Woman's um, home. So today we're going to be looking at Wonder Woman 103 from 1995 by John Byrne. I've already reviewed 101 and 102, so we're probably going to go through John Byrne's run here on Wonder Woman because I think it's really good and it's really um I don't know. I think it's one of his better runs, and probably second to Fantastic Four. Yes, even better than Batman, or I'm sorry, Superman's. So first of all, what I'm pointing at in or wanting to look in this cover is look how you can tell how banged up she is, and has been. You see the parademons behind her, and you can just see that she has just gone through a big battle, and look how muscular and big John Byrne draws her. Wonder Woman does look here like what you would think one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe would look like. So, all right, so we start here in Themyscira at night. Those are stars, not snow. Suddenly a boom tube, and we get Wonder Woman here, and she has that cop with her. I think it's Mike Shore. And here we see the credits that John Byrne wrote and drew. And then not only that, but look at this. I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't have done anything as challenging as this, but I mean, he drew all this here. And it's pretty detailed. I mean, it's not super detailed like George Perez probably would have even rendered it even more detailed, but I think it's pretty cool. So, Wonder Woman is coming through the from that boom tube, and the cop falls, and he gives her his name, and so we see all the destruction from Themyscira as Darkseid has been trying to get the essence of the gods, or what created them. You can see the parademons are looking, and she tells him to get away because she's about to go fighting. And Darkseid is here watching from above, and she's not afraid at all. So a very good splash page here. Notice in this time you can see, and now it's common, but panels now go all the way and they extend to all the borders, so they draw in every copy. John Byrne uses brush for his inking, so he uses a nice thick line as well. You can see him. Just I love thick lines for inky. So all right, so off she goes. And here it's just John Byrne kind of narrating here, and she's fighting. Oh, kind of turned it away a little too fast. And the words are there to just kind of slow us down because this is just a fighting issue. I mean, or a most part, it's a lot of fighting. And so the words here are just meant to slow us down so that this comic book isn't read like in 5 minutes. John Byrne is a phenomenal artist, and he's absolutely one of the greatest. Where you put him, that depends. Um, he's up there. So, um, here you see him jumping to, because he feels useless, so he's gonna try and help Wonder Woman. But every time you try to help someone, you end up, you know, he try to do something because he was feeling powerless. But of course, if it lands him before Darkseid, Darkseid catches him and tells him to stop, or she's gonna crush his head. Very good panel. I like it. And she says that there's nothing to be gained from his death. Look at her. Look at just how she just has beaten everybody here. Um, and Darkseid said, yeah, probably not, but there is some pleasure to be taken in a meaningless death. So it just kind of goes to show you that Darkseid is at another level. He's another level of evil. And the guy, he's not afraid, so it amuses Darkseid. So we're going to take a brief interlude. And this person here, really don't know his name, but he's one of her servants. This here's Morgan Le Fay, who was during Jack Kirby's Demon. Um, she was used, and she ages. So even though she's been alive for centuries, she ages. So she looks like, she's been living for a long time. And she needs Wonder Woman or the Amazons so that she no longer has to go through a ritual and doesn't have to burn herself. She has to burn herself kind of like to be reborn into like a younger version. So she takes her armor off and burns herself, and they need Wonder Woman or the Amazons to not do this anymore and be able to remain youthful forever. So back here now, Darkseid wants um, wants Darkseid to release him. He says no because she's very strong and was able to resist them, and she knows that if he has a weaker person, um, that she will do what they say. And he's yelling like he's in pain, but he is yelling because he's frustrated. He's frustrated because he's just not going along, you know. So one last thing, you can tell. I almost said Jack Kirby. You can tell John Byrne is um, inking very fast. His lines are, which is very chaotic, and I like it because normally they're very controlled inking, and you can tell that I don't think it's a rush job. I think he's fast, and I think he just went faster. I mean, he was probably doing a page or two just every day because the dude is very fast. And if you're familiar with his work, his ink is nowhere near this sloppy. So I think he was just inking fast, but I think that is what makes this so nice. So, oh, never mind. So that's why he screamed. Okay, so here he's screaming because he got hit um, with the spear, and I think this would have been okay. So it looks like he said this first because this is higher, and then he said this, but you're supposed to actually read from here to here. So they actually should have had this panel up here and this panel down here so you could tell the order. So I read it as this part first, then followed by this. So my apologies. So the Amazons have come to continue fighting, and it looks like all the surviving ones. Wonderful page. Um, Darkseid is not amused. Tells them that it's hopeless for them because Apocalypse didn't come empty-handed, and he wants the location of where the old gods are, Mount Olympus, particularly Zeus and all that, because he needs the power. And
they're they basically are telling him that it's not on Earth, and they're not going to, even if they knew, they're not going to tell him. He tells her that she may be the most powerful one, but Darkseid is a god, and he will have his respect. Another great panel, just of Darkseid overlooking everybody and everybody ready to fight. So, um, I just a great storyteller, a great artist, and kind of real quick, if you can tell here, I mean, he's even missing. I mean, the guy is just um, really, it's really good. It's very fast, very furious. I like this version of John Byrne. You don't see it very often, but so they all start attacking the Themyscira, and here on the last page, you can see that it's all being destroyed here. So, going to be looking at the end of John Byrne's first arc. This is the sort of the dark side portion, as she fought Darkseid, I guess and a great stunning cover. So this is he did a four-parter, and this is the fourth part. So Wonder Woman, look at this beautiful rendition. You can really see that she is scarred and has fought, and I mean, look at this. He really, really, not just because you can always draw that there was a battle in the back, but look at this. He makes the boot here ripped. Just lines everywhere. Normally on women, you don't put a lot of lines because it makes them look older or more. Normally with women, there's not as many marks and ticks, but he is showing that she has been through this battle. And just look at this. And the fire in the background, just amazing. So, Darkseid says, "Well done, Wonder Woman. Your warriors fought well. I am officially impressed." And, look at this destruction. So, Darkseid is, of course, not being sincere. So John Byrne is the writer and artist. His return to DC after Superman. Love it. He's just using his brush for drawing. I love the way he started doing the hair. I mean, look at this. Just so much different. This evolution of John Byrne. This would be, I think, his second coming, you could say. His because it's different. It's a lot more brushes than his first one. I don't know. It just looks a little different, but I love it. So Wonder Woman, of course, knew that she was being sarcastic, and he did not get what he wanted. But less of his people died. Look at them. Darkseid doesn't care about anyone except himself. Look at this. He's just like, whatever. And his people here, you can see, are just so tired. And opens up the boom tube. Everyone is heading back to Apocalypse. He did not get what he was looking for, but he's convinced that she's somehow the key. And it's not over. She jumps after him, but it's done. She was not able to get him. Love this again. It's the same foot. So some people would have forgotten. And look, it's the same foot as the first page. So just so awesome. So she's weeping here because so many of her sisters are dead. Just look at all the scars. So these are all the dead, and Wonder Woman gets the total, and 1,716 fell, and only 508 survived. So it's half the number of their total of Wonder Woman. Now they're gonna do their rituals, and they ask him to leave, but Wonder Woman basically tells them to tell so he can stay. Now she asks about her mom. She's about to tell her, but that's when she interrupts and says he can't see it, and she says he fought bravely along her, and he deserves to watch. He's like, no, it's okay, I understand, but she's like, no, she insists. So he gets to watch. So they're going to burn their dead. And this is based on Greek mythology, so there is no Valhalla, so I don't know where the Greeks go. So, or if there is a Valhalla for them. So, we take a quick interlude to Morgan Le Fay. She's wondering where Wonder Woman is, because that process of rejuvenation. She needs her. I love his inking. John Byrne's. It's so cool. Looks really good. The boots just. I don't know. John Byrne is such a master storyteller. And I noticed that he does a very much a Kirby looking hair. Look at this. That like this. I think that's an ode to Kirby. So, her servant says, they're sure she's in Gateway City, but she hasn't been seen in a week. They can't find her, and Morgan is like, you know, ready to kill him, and said, find her by any means necessary. So Jason Blood is the demon, so I think we're gonna have another one of Kirby's characters brought in. So I know that there was a throughout Kirby's demon run, that she was a integral part of it. So we may be seeing the demon coming soon. So Wonder Woman is cleaning up after a few days from all the destruction. I don't think she would have polluted, but that's just me. So she says, where's her mom? And they're explaining that after she left, she became depressed and just ended up leaving. But she couldn't step down as queen, so she named basically someone to rule in her stead until she returned. And it's her, and I don't know her name, so I will apologize. But she's gonna rule, and she left, so Wonder Woman's gonna go. It's just kind of funny, but and Philippus. So Philippus is who he left, or she left in charge, and she wonders if Wonder Woman is going to claim the throne, and Wonder Woman's like, "What?" And she never thought of it. She says basically she's never really trained to be a leader and be responsible. She is on a mission as Wonder Woman, and that despite everything, being Wonder Woman is what she's supposed to do. So she says Philippus can rule until the mom returns, but Diana will remain being Wonder Woman. And so this is somewhere in California. Probably that's where Gateway City is. And Themyscira has appeared, and they're going back, and Wonder Woman explains that Themyscira is not part of the world, and it just shows up where they need it to. And basically, Wonder Woman, he asks if Wonder Woman is going to search for her mom. She says, no, not at this time. And, he offers to help with anything she does. And then they are holding hands, so whether or not this is a love interest will remain to be seen. But
today we are going to be looking at Wonder Woman 105 from 1996, written and drawn by the one and only John Byrne. John Byrne is a master storyteller, and this series I particularly like because his art is very chaotic. I'm gonna say that in a good way. It's very chaotic, and what I mean by that is I think he's just working on, not per se on just inks, but I think he is not doing full pencils and he's just drawing with the ink, and you can see here that he is laying a lot of ink. And if you are used to John Byrne, this is a little bit different. This isn't your typical John Byrne. If you're used to his '80s work, he for Wonder Woman, the dude started slinging ink, and it's beautiful, and I really enjoy it. So, this is his return to DC Comics after the Superman debacle that he just did not have very much fun. So, this starts a new storyline, and I have covered the first 101 through 104 already. So we're going to try to do the entire John Byrne Wonder Woman run. Because it's underrated, and a lot of people are, into just the Fantastic Four. Real quick here, she is going into this museum on Gateway City, and here are the credits. A lot of people are just used to the Fantastic Four type of thing, but his work started evolving, and although you can really real quick, because if I don't say it, you may not get it. So she says that she has an appointment and that she's Wonder Woman. Of course, she doesn't believe her, and so she picks her up, but because she is, of course, really Wonder Woman. And I just love artists whose work evolves. And that is something that I think with this particular version of John Byrne, it really does, because this ink slinging, like you can see on the hair, you just don't see that very often. So I really enjoyed it. I just seeing this, I really, like I said, I really liked it. So here the mom and daughter are having an argument. She apparently had been grounded for breaking curfew, and the kids, of course, being a kid, and so Wonder Woman is introduced to her. So so Wonder Woman has a job with her. So the professor's gonna go talk to Wonder Woman and tells her daughter to stay right there until she returns. She basically, because of Wonder Woman, she says she's lived through a lot of the stuff that she's studying, so she wants to show her some of the stuff. And here the little girl is thinking, she's 14, and how old does she have to be to get to live her own life, which I think is very funny. So she sits there. But she decides that maybe if she were to help her mom clean, that she can show her that can be responsible. And of course, as she's cleaning, she sees this, and of course touches that switch, which brings that statue to life. Real quick, I've always found these little ticks to be, and it's not just John Byrne. All the artists would do it, and it's a way to create. I personally don't do it, but it's a way, I guess, to create depth per se. But these little lines over here and over here, they just it's very old school. You don't see a lot of the newer artists where they work on comics do that anymore. They don't all draw with all these marks anymore. So Wonder Woman and the doctor or the professor are talking in the office when she's talking about that robot warrior, and they hear that crash. Of course, that little girl's like, help, help, help. And so Wonder Woman tells them that it won't harm the child, but punches her. And so she takes off her, it looks like a robe, I think, is what she was wearing, but she had her costume underneath it. And off she goes. I also like the way he does the lasso, just a black line and then just put the little things that make it glowing. Keep it simple. Again, look at John Byrne, just absolutely beautiful. So here's the girl and that robot or that statue. Is she tries punching it. And Wonder Woman just doesn't know how to stop it, and the girl blames herself. So we're going to move on to now to, as John Byrne has kind of been weaving another layer into the story. And so Jason Blood is walking into this store in the occult, and the old man comes. He's the servant of Morgan Le Fay. Jason Blood, his name is Worley. He says it's not possible because he'd seen him die. And so he says he saw him engulfed, but that's not the same thing. So uses his magic to get him in prison, using all the books, all the paper, to kind of build like a rope around him per se. And so we get a little bit of backstory of how he took the Philosopher's Stone and gives it to Morgan Le Fay. Worley just craves power, and Morgan, he had used the stone against her. So again, we're just kind of going by, we're just retelling kind of of how we're here. So Morgan Le Fay was imprisoned here, and he summons this creature, but things are going wrong, and they escape, but so does Morgan Le Fay, and of course she's angry at him, and he begs her to save him. And so she did save him, but he's been punished for the actions, and now he's a living pestilence. He's consumed. He's in pain every minute of every day. But he says it's nothing compared to the fate that's surrounding him. And so he uses a branding thing and brands his forehead for Morgan Le Fay. And then we go back then to Wonder Woman fighting. I love the fact that I've always believed in comic books, you gotta have a little action with your drama. It can't be drama all the time. I do love, this is one of the things I like about the old school comic books, is they really did have action and adventure everything, in 22 pages. So, here's all this destruction. John Byrne has drawn a lot of destruction in these couple of issues. Um, so that thing was not enough, and so um, the little girl's trying to help Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman's like, Cassandra, you gotta get out of the way. And so they're running to the edge of that dock where there's nowhere else to go. I mean, I suppose you can jump in the water. And the weight causes the statue to fall in. And so Wonder Woman does jump into the water. I don't believe it would be that deep that quickly, but hey, comic books. And that thing gets caught in the sand and finds its way down. So, crisis averted. Wonder Woman praises Cassandra, where the mom is like, well, if you hadn't done that, but of course, I love the eyes, rolling them. Wonder Woman, like I said, continues to praise her for that. So they kind of have a little jest at the end, as Wonder Woman basically says, "Don't do that again," and she's, the professor's like, "Oh boy, the budget's gonna go out if this happens all the time." So we now go to that bookstore. Now here is the Phantom Stranger, who is like an occultist. There'll be a link to in the description below, where you can click on the DC Wiki, and you'll be able to kind of, if you have any interest on the background of some of these characters, you can take a look and see their origin and stuff. So this is the Phantom Stranger here. You can also follow me on social media, and the descriptions are also on the description below. I post a lot of my artwork. So now we're going to look at number 106 with another great cover by Byrne. Again, a lot of ink slinging that he's doing. So Wonder Woman's sort of flying out there. Beautiful. John Byrne, he had a great run on She-Hulk as well. I'd strongly recommend you check that out. So she's in that gateway city and heading to her job. Cassandra called her, and she's wearing that Wonder Woman shirt underneath. Cassandra thinks it's very cool that she is working for her mom, and she says that she was recommended. So they're going through the museum here, kind of just talking. So the kid's like, Wonder Woman, because she says the young because of how old she is, and Cassandra's like, my mom isn't young, she's like over 30. So anywho, so they walk into the room, and there's the professor cleaning one of the others, those statues. She says the little man had been looking for her. Wonder Woman asks who it was, and he left a card for him, or for her. So, and that would have been, of course, the guy that defeated Jason Blood in the previous issue. And so, they're looking at this tapestry here, and so he had brought this tapestry to them, and they they suggest that she call him, and of course she does, and she says that her knowledge on the tapestry is a little bit limited. Um, so she asked if they examined the piece and asked if she's touched it. She again says that that's not her field, and he says, "Of course it isn't, but that's only to my advantage." And they're like, "Not again," as they all come alive. And she tells everyone to get behind her and says that they're strong, which is something coming from Wonder Woman, who is one of the strongest characters. And of course, this is Morgan Le Fay in there. And Morgan tells him that he's supposed to capture Wonder Woman alive and not harm her, because if something happens to her, she'll take it out on Worley before she dies, because she needs Wonder Woman. This is what I mean about John Byrne's art. He is just, I don't think he's doing full pencils by this, meaning I don't think he's working on a I don't know. It looks to me like he's going straight to ink, like he's just doing a little bit of a layouts and then going straight to ink and actually drawing in ink. So the monsters or the things are running amok in the museum. Of course, the Phantom Stranger has arrived and tells everybody to calm down as part of his power. And so they're trying, these things are trying to trap Wonder Woman. And then here you can see the silhouette of the, or the shadow of the Phantom Stranger. I love the eyes in there. So, and she's running away. And apparently the Phantom Stranger gave her an idea, and she is burning the tapestry, which burns them. And so they asked how she knew, and of course she doesn't know, but of course it was the Phantom Stranger. Wonder Woman recognizes this from the records on the Justice League. He says he apologized for taking so long, but he's been trying to do some investigating. Someone's been manipulating the mystic energies, and so he's kind of narrowed it down to this area here. And so she gives him the card and sees Worley's name. He said, "I never thought it or even occurred to me to look there," because he believed that he and his mistress were dead. Now, this part here, we are somewhere else, but I don't know where, because he never indicates if this is still in that museum or if this is a lab somewhere else. But this doctor is trying to create, to bring back this little cat that was his kids, and he's called Dr. Lazarus, of course, because hey, why not when you're dealing with the so I'm not gonna bore you. They're just explaining how it works and whatever, but essentially they're creating this cat again, and when the kid goes to touch it, it explodes. And he says that matrix is unstable, and He's looking for Chris, and Chris is here, injured. And so we go back to Morgan Le Fay, who was watching as the Phantom Stranger shows up, and she's upset because there's always an intruder. And she says she's going to use Jason Blood. Worley tries to stop her, but she doesn't let him, and says that it is now time to use the demon. And so she does the spell and has the demon rise. So we're going to be looking at 107 and 108 of Wonder Woman, the second volume from 1996, written and drawn by the one and only John Byrne. I do have the start of his run with issue 101, so feel free to check him out. So his Wonder Woman run is underrated. And as you can see, the demon, which is a Jack Kirby creation, makes his appearance here. And then here in the shadow, we have the Phantom Stranger. So we are in Gateway City. It's a made-up city. DC doesn't really use real cities, so they always use Metropolis and Gotham, Gateway City, Emerald City, gosh, what else? Keystone City. So they always have these made-up cities. Just love one of the things about John Byrne that I really enjoy is his I don't know, just how he draws mundane and does it really well. So we have here our cast of characters. So we have Wonder Woman here, and then this little kid is Casey, who was introduced before. This is Mike Shore, and then this is Casey's mom, Helena. So kind of right now what they're doing is basically just going over what happened last issue. So Helena is all shocked, whereas Casey thinks that it was pretty cool. So again, it's just this page was sort of a recap. And she thought the Phantom Stranger was coming back, but instead it is the demon who is now under the spell of Morgan Le Fay. Great panel here, two-page spread, really. John Byrne is doing the pencils, the inks, and the writing. John Byrne is one of the best storytellers ever, and he is in the top 10. The top 10 is subjective on what you like, but he should be in everyone's top 10 because he is absolutely one of the best overall creators ever. So the demon is attacking, but Wonder Woman moves Helena out of the way, and Mike starts shooting at him, but of course we all know that doesn't work. He takes the gun away and crushes it, and then punches him back. So everybody's sort of fighting the demon. I love this ink slinger, John Byrne. He just is so loose with this brush. So this kid is the one that she was looking for. Because he thinks it's Wonder Woman. He doesn't know. So, and Wonder Woman says that she's the one. And then grabs her. And so we got a, as they're falling here, horizontal cover, but Wonder Woman fights back. I truly enjoy John Byrne's art. So and she takes a whole car and wraps it around him. So she tells him that he's pinned, and um, or she thinks that he's pinned, but she says that she underestimates his power, and you can see he uses his hellish powers to remove the cars. Sometimes I wish I could do that to the cars, particularly cars that park in the driveway right but block the sidewalk. I never understood that. What if people were handicapped? I don't know. Sometimes I look at that and I'm like, man, I wish. But I digress. So Wonder Woman and the Demon keep fighting. A lot of action in this issue. We start off with a bit of a bang. So other people running. I love how he has a reverse silhouette. So, here's a reporter by the hospital. And so they're saying that about Chris Lazarus, who was injured in his dad's labs. This is all from last issue. They're referencing the death of Superman here, who had happened earlier. A different title, so nothing that I've covered at this time. So, turn off the TV there. So this lady here by the name of Allison is saying it's not bad enough that Chris is lying there with almost no chance, but the considers the press vultures, and then this must be his parents saying, you know, it's stuff he's had to put up with since he became famous. Again, look at John Byrne. People now would probably not put this much detail, and I don't mean that he's drawing every speck of dust, but look at this. You can see clearly a really good scene here. Just sitting, I don't know. John Byrne gives you a complete picture, and that's quite admirable. Not very many people do that here. So this Allison is his ex-wife, and she's says famous. Yes, had he not become famous, he wouldn't have won custody, and her son would not have been placed in a situation that he could have been killed. This guy here says, which I think is the dad, don't lose faith, and she yells about faith and it being a fairy tale. So the doctor comes out and says that he's died on the operating table and there's nothing that he could have done. So good solemn moment. Very you can see the how John Byrne captures the pain. So she's like, no, you have to do something, and she says, I can't, his injuries, there's nothing I can do. And then she slaps him saying murderer and punches him, which of course, and they're like, she runs away crying, and they're like, she was wrong to do that. No, she wasn't. Chris is dead, and it is my fault. So, so the doctor's like, she's right. He's dead, and it's all his fault. So, back then, to the where Wonder Woman was, she asks who that yellow guy was, and she says Diana called him Etrigan, and it's from a hierarchy of demons. So, and so she's gonna go after Wonder Woman because she says she may need her help, and she's running, very look with a big smile. So she says to stay there in case the Phantom Stranger comes back and tell him what happened. And she leaves. She yells for her, but was not able to stop. She asks if the Mike is okay, and he says he thinks so. Asks where Diana is and that demon, and says that they're both gone and that now Casey has gone after them. And he wants to stop him, but he's feeling weak here. She wonders how she can find him because Wonder Woman can fly and that demon can jump. So, but then she sees this hellish coming out, so she figures that that's where they're at. So, and here the demon is still fighting Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman is quite powerful, and she's not about to surrender. So, and so the Phantom Stranger has appeared and tells Etrigan to return back to the form of man. He's got that Philosopher's Stone. I do have in throughout the videos, I have a 4-issue miniseries that Mad Wagner did featuring the demon. So check that out if you want to know a little bit more about the demon and the Philosopher's Stone and all that kind of stuff. So she asks, what did he do? And she says, in a moment, things will become clearer. And you can see that the demon is in pain, and he's now returning to the true form of Jason Blood, or his human host. Host, I think, is what he is. So he says he had to wait until she was actually attacked before he could act, because the forces they're dealing are ancient and cunning and know how to conceal their forms. So, of course, she explains the Philosopher's Stone, which is what can turn the demon back into Jason Blood, who's a demonologist. And so this is actually quite a very quick explanation of the demon here. It's a very quick, concise origin. And like I said, in the DC fan page, you can actually click on it. It'll tell you who all is in this issue. And if you click on their character bios, it'll give you their origins. So for brevity's sake, we'll just use this one. Many long centuries, the spirit of Etrigan has possessed the form of Jason Blood, though there is an older legend that tells of Merlin creating Blood as his vessel for his demonic servant. So Casey says, wow, that was so cool. So ask, questions about the demon. So here Jason Blood is coming too. And they're like, who is that guy? She doesn't know, of course, that it's Etrigan. She says, it's an innocent bystander, Jason Blood. And so she, of course, knows and says it's a great honor. So she says he wished circumstances were different. Real quick, I love how the old fat. So John Byrne came up during a time where comic books used a lot of marks, and so he still uses them. And if you look at his pants, you see these dashes, kind of like you would have in the olden days, because of course he came up through the 70s and 80s, and this is in the 90s, so we still haven't, but the styles have changed now, so a lot of people don't do this, but it's really cool to see. So, Phantom Stranger says this is confirmation of Morgan Le Fay, and of course Mike is like, Le Fay as in King Arthur's Morgan Le Fay, and the Phantom Stranger says it is the same one. He says here that she's ancient, diabolical sorceress, gifted in the black magics, and she could rip the universe in half if she thought doing so would give her in 1 iota more power. So very selfish. So he says they need to summon the demon one more time, and of course Blood says yes, because the Philosopher's Stone has broken the enchantment, and it would be safe to call Etrigan once more. Of course, she says, you mean conjure up? And Casey's like, cool, can we watch? Phantom Stranger says no. So, and he says, what must transpire is not for mortal eyes to see. He agrees and says he's ready. And so they're going to transform him. And of course, Morgan Le Fay is watching. She's like, yes, you do that. So this is her henchman here. I forgot his name. I think it was Worley, I believe. So Worley offers help. He says, nah, don't do anything yet. Let the stranger think Etrigan is his to control. And then it'll be better off if Wonder Woman walks in freely and she thinks that she needs a different tool to suit their needs. Etrigan has already served his purpose, and here she has these other people. And so this is Orion, not Orion with an O, but Orion with an A. And he is a sorcerer. Again, you can look at the DC fan page, and if you want to see more or read more on his origin, you sure can. So she tells him to be quiet, and now puts in her symbol on his forehead. So he's trying to resist his spell, but she says no one has the power. So says Orion is now a puppet to her will. And so Wonder Woman finally reaches the lair of Morgan Le Fay. So this is dedicated to someone that they knew named Giles, or Giles, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So we go now to 108. Great cover here, and it does look like maybe Morgan Le Fay does take some control of Wonder Woman, so we will see. And so we get a bit of a recap here. And here our heroes are walking into Morgan Le Fay's lair when the statues here come to life. So the demon says that Morgan Le Fay knows that they're here. So she, of course, has her powerful bracelets, so she's able to deflect. So and so there's going to be more challenges because, of course, I keep wanting to say Orion. 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 They're almost... So if you hear me say Orion, I apologize. Anyway, so now Etrigan and is going to try and fight him, but he is not able to. So they all believed he was dead, but it's comic books. Nobody ever dies in comic books. So Wonder Woman noticed that he wears the same brand and that the demon had of Morgan Le Fay. Phantom Stranger wonders if the Philosopher's Stone might be able to free him the way it freed the demon. Phantom Stranger says getting close might be troublesome. She grabs it and says, leave it to me. And of course, Wonder Woman flies off. So Orion thinks that's rather impressive, and her speed is great, but it's not faster than magic. She says that, he's wasting energy on even though her speed is good. He says, are you quite sure? And of course, he hits her with his power, and she, you can see here, she's dropping the Philosopher's Stone. And she is falling. And Orion catches her. She has the Philosopher's Stone now in her hand and hits him in the forehead with it. So So here he says that Morgan Le Fay's power is faded because they were able to free the demon and Orion. But of course, if you remember, the demon really was still under her spell. So he attacks. And there was a second brand in the back of his head. And so Orion also was not done. So between the two of them, they get our heroes. So if you remember, we're sort of back to that lab, and you can see here Chris, or you can't see Chris, but you can see someone calling out for Chris, and then all of a sudden Dad, and then he says, "Concentrate on my voice, follow my voice," and of course it says here, this is insane, Dr. Laris. This equipment was never meant for this kind of program. So it looks like the kid is inside this AI here. Great design. I mean, John Byrne does not skimp on details. Now, it is not like Jeff Darrow would have drawn every piece of cable and every thing here, but John Byrne still, what a artist he is. So she says, "Don't tell me what this thing can do, that he designed it, so he knows better than most what it can do." She tells him that the data required for what he's trying to do just isn't there. He says, "I don't need the data." So he is basically telling her that he knows what he's doing, and she's trying to stop him. He's saying he's being irrational, and of course you can see him getting very aggressive, and he apologizes. He tells her that she can go, and he says to please be careful, that they don't really understand the forces that are at work here. So real quick here, these are videotapes at that time. So all right, so Chris is probably inside this matrix thing here. So, and the dad's happy because his son is safe in there. And now we see Morgan Le Fay has everybody imprisoned here. So they're gonna put her there. I think she's gonna try to absorb everybody. So Wonder Woman asks what is it that she wants, what is the purpose, and he says for life, to restore her immortality. So she says, each one there serves a purpose. She's an immortal Amazon. The Phantom Stranger goes through uncounted years. The demon who lives, who's been alive since the fall of Camelot, Orion, who's was around when Atlantis sank 700 years ago. Vandal Savage, who's more than 50,000 years old, and this General Immortus, who's been alive for a long time here as well, because he's been alive for a very long time. So each one of them has a gift of immortality in a different way. She means to take that essence away from everyone and get it into her. They ask, what about them? And they go, well, you can live out the rest of your years. Each is in the prime of health except Immortus. So, but of course, as they said, she doesn't care. Everybody there lived a long life, so she doesn't have any guilt. Tells Worley to begin, and so he does. Again, I have all these. I've collected the beginning of John Byrne's run from 101, so feel free to kind of, if you are confused or anything, you can listen to those. And so we go here, and she is grabbing everyone's powers, or immortality, is as she likes to say. So Wonder Woman is in a special place that was created just for her because she's also a trained warrior. So she's going to take away those martial talents that have eluded her so that she too can be a powerful warrior. Basically, an evil Wonder Woman. And so the two of them are going to go into a duel. But it looks like Morgan is I was gonna say gonna win, but besting her. So she demands she gives her skills. So she's saying she realizes each move adds to her arsenal, but she wants to try one thing that can perhaps stop her, but if she doesn't work, she may take it. So, and she quits fighting, and Morgan's not happy. She's like, fight, 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 and Wonder Woman does not. And Worley tries to tell her you're loosening her bonds, but it's too late, and Wonder Woman is out and punches her, and she was not able to take away everyone's immortality. As you can see here, she's turning into dust. And so Worley says he had done the spell to perfection. He says yes, but she had given up her immortality when she left Themyscira. So when LaFay tried to sap it from Wonder Woman, there was no immortality for her. And so everybody can free their bonds. Of course, Vandal Savage is quite a villain, so... And General Immortus has gotten away, so... And so they wonder if Morgan Le Fay truly is dead, and he says, yep, the living pestilence that was under his body is no longer there, so... And they're going to make sure they can get a proper incarceration for Worley here. And says, what of the demon? They ask what he'll do, and he says he's cursed to roam and never find a home. So... And now that the demon, if you can see here, he is talking more of his way, so they know that Morgan Le Fay is no longer in control. So, alright, so we get to the end of our issue. So, hope you enjoyed it. Wonder Woman 107 and 108 from 1996. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.